5 things that lose your pleasure in intimacy. One of the most beautiful feelings of pleasure during the exercise of intimacy is the relationship of great emotional love that brings together the couple. This emotional relationship is translated through intimacy, resulting in a sense of pleasure and sexual pleasure. This understanding and love is one of the most important things to feel the enjoyment of married life together. However, there are some times when the couple loses their sense of pleasure during sexual intercourse, and there are some things and factors for it to happen. Through this video, we will identify with you the most important reasons why a couple feels pleasure and sexual excitement during intimacy. Routine pattern. One of the most common causes of loss of sexual pleasure is the routine and boredom that permeates the relationship. Breaking the boredom of the pleasure of intimacy, the couple feel upset and disturbed by the practice of marital relationship in the same pattern, and in one way without renewal. When a sexual encounter takes place in the same room for a long time and in the same situation, it is enough to lose the sexual desire of the couple. There are several solutions to this problem, including changing the place of intercourse, choosing anywhere else in the house, such as living room, salon, or even kitchen. You can also try new ways, situations and sexual movements that reduce boredom and break the routine of intimacy. Infection with some venereal diseases. The most important factors that cause the loss of pleasure and sexual desire of the couple during the intimate relationship is the injury of one or both spouses of venereal diseases. This problem is most common in wives, because they are often exposed to vaginal secretions and infections, which in turn makes the husband feel very disturbed and tight, and thus cause him to lose sexual pleasure. Therefore, every woman with any genital problem must seek to remedy this problem. Also, the husband sometimes gets some venereal diseases, including prostatitis, or the presence of some skin ulcers in the penis, and here must be medical intervention and treatment of some diseases with creams, and medical ointments specialized for that. Neglect of personal hygiene. The neglect of the personal hygiene of the spouses, one of the main reasons and the main factors, which make them separate from each other, and lose their desire for sexual activity and pleasure and excitement. One of the most important factors of negligence in personal hygiene is the lack of interest of either party of the aromatic aroma characteristic, which cause the attraction of the other party, and this talk applies to husband and wife. Also, the wife's lack of interest in the smoothness of her skin and the perfume of her body, and clean sensitive area, one of the reasons that make the husband alienate them and lower arousal and desire to have sex with them. As well as the man, it must be clean and body fragrant to stimulate the wife and enhance her sense of pleasure during the sexual relationship. Therefore, every binary needs to take care of the cleanliness of the body, attention to its smell and constant change of underwear. The selfishness of the husband and the concealment of his feelings. One of the reasons why a woman's sexual pleasure is lost in intimate relationships is the husband's selfishness and neglect of feelings. There are a large number of couples who care about themselves only during intercourse, and seek to achieve their sexual pleasure, without attention to the feelings of the wife and access to happiness by listening, and sexual pleasure. The silence of the husband, and the concealment of feelings about his wife, one of the most important reasons lost sense of pleasure and sexual desire. Therefore, the husband must abandon his selfishness while having sex with his wife, and give her a chance to feel pleasure until they both reach orgasm. The husband must show his feelings for his wife and avoid the silence in the relationship, because it causes severe distress to the wife and cause the loss of desire, and this certainly will affect the husband. Practice relationship to the goal of reproduction. Exercising intimacy with the purpose of procreation is one of the most common things to lose sexual pleasure, because the idea of pregnancy and procreation dominates your senses, feelings, and thoughts, making you feel cold, and lack of desire and sexual desire. This is in addition to the control of boredom from the practice of relationship, the result of constant search for reproduction, and the completion of the relationship at certain times and in conjunction with the days of ovulation. So, you have to give up that idea, at least in the exercise of intimacy, and stop thinking about anything that distracts your brain and lose you feeling pleasure and excitement.